Good morning, respected professor and all faculty members. My name is Chen Tianhang, and today I'm honored to present my research titled Digital Media Teaching Reform, Regime Art Education. Such adopts a mixed approach of systematic literature review and empirical analysis. Next, I will elaborate on the core content of the research around this PPT framework. This slide focuses on the researchers' guiding questions, objectives, and significance. We put forward two core research questions. First, how does digital media reform reshape students' artistic creation process, including idea generation, production, and revision, and their aesthetic expression forms such as visual, interactive, and immersive models. Second, what key challenges hinder teachers in implementing this reform, and by what machines do these challenges reduce teaching effectiveness? To address these questions, we cite three research objectives. Firstly, synthesize evidence from systematic literature review to clarify the dual impacts of digital media on students' learning. Secondly, identify context-specific teacher challenges using survey data. Thirdly, integrate digital narrative theory with the curriculum culture practice model to craft targeted reform strategies. In terms of significance, theoretically, this research bridges the fragmented existing studies, integrates insights from systematic literature review with digital narrative theory, and enriches the theories and technology integration in art education and culture transmission through digital tools. Practically, it provides actionable tools for art teachers, such as studified training and AI license tablets, and sports schools in formulating evidence-based culture alternate reform policies. The literature review builds the theoretical foundation of this research, which is supported by three core theoretical pillars. First, technology integration theory argues that the success of digital tools in education depends not only on their functionality but also on their alignment with pedagogical and cultural goals. Second, digital narrative theory emphasizes immersive storytelling and across four dimensions: conceptual, results, technical, and communication to deepen students' aesthetic engagement. Thirdly, digital inclusion theory points out that incredible access to digital technology is a prerequisite for the sustainability of educational reform. These three theories together lay the groundwork for our empirical analysis. They help explain why students gain increased flexibility and coexist with tablet over reliance, and why teachers' technical gaps and rural-urban resource asymmetries periods in the reform process. The synthesis of existing literature also shows that current research on digital media in art education is relatively scattered, which further highlights the necessity of the study. Slide 4. Let's look. And to ensure the rigor and comprehensiveness of the research, we adopted a 3R mixed methods approach: systematic literature review, empirical data analysis, and theoretical integration. For the systematic literature review, we followed the PRISMA guidelines and screened 10 peer-reviewed studies published between 2015 and 2024 from the databases such as Scopes, Web of Science, and Google Scholar, covering contexts from middle schools to university and both rural and urban areas. In terms of empirical data, we mainly relied on a survey of 15 Chinese universities, which collected 4,263 valid questionnaires, including 3,841 from the students and 422 from teachers. In data analysis, we used the quantitative methods such as descriptive statistics and t-tests to analyze the indicators like rural-urban disparities and qualitative thematical coding to process open-ended survey responses and literature review findings. Theoretically, we integrated technology integration theory, digital narrative findings, and the curriculum culture practice model to interpret the research results. The slide presents the research findings on the dual impacts of digital media on students' aesthetic creation. On the positive side, digital media significantly enhances students' creative flexibility and immersive aesthetic impression. According to systematic literature review data, middle school students using Postgres revised their works 4 to 6 times per lesson, compared with only 1 to 2 times when using watercolors. That's the 82.5% of surveyed students reported the digital tools made them feel free to experiment, with urban students more likely to hold this view than rural ones. In terms of aesthetic expressions, 91.85% of students recognize the value of AR or VR in deepening aesthetic understanding. Let's say the 89% of students who use the AR to study Chinese brushwork reported a better grasp of stroke aesthetics. Additionally, 80% of users of interactive tools like IoT stated that these tools helped them connect technical operations or with the traditional cultural values. However, the challenges also exist. 40% of university students relied on precise tablets, and 52% admitted to using ready-made digital assets. K-12 students spend 60% of class time on software drills, and 48.32% of surveyed students believe that digital classes focused more on tool operation than aesthetic analysis. This slide focuses on teachers' challenges in the reform, their impacts on teaching effectiveness, and the role of curriculum culture practice model. In terms of teachers' challenges, technical proficiency gaps and resource shortage are prominent. 60% of teachers struggled with advanced digital software, and 62% reported anxiety about teaching VR or AR courses. 72.3% of senior teachers with over 10 years of experience had such anxiety, as compared with only 72.1% of junior teachers with less than 5 years of experience. Results disparities between rural and urban areas are also obvious. The ratio of high-performance computers to students is 1 5 in urban schools, but only 1 or 20 in rural schools. You know, the teachers reported mostly license delays due to software license issues. Their challenges directly reduce teaching effectiveness. 15 or 22 minutes of each 50-minute license are also two technical problems. We know many students rarely discusses the aesthetic issues with teachers in digital classes. Fortunately, the curriculum culture practice model shows good effectiveness. Listen, for example, rural schools using lightweight offline air tools reduce the lesson delays by 40%. Teachers adapting to this model increased the aesthetic feedback time of students reported that AR-based traditional arts lessons depend on their culture understanding. The discussion part focused on 3 core issues: the tension between technical enablement and creative depths, systemic teachers' challenges and policy interventions, and the curriculum culture practice model as a bridging tool. First, the dual impacts of digital media reflect the tension between technical support and creative depths. Rural and urban schools have different needs. Rural schools are in urgent need to lightweight offline tools to solve hardware shortages, while urban schools should focus on formulating originality guidelines to curb tablet over-reliance. Embedding culture themes through digital narrative theory and reduce tablet using by 30%. Second, teachers' challenges are rooted in inadequate training and policy gaps. For senior teachers, technical anxiety, targeted training models such as AR for traditional art license can reduce anxiety by 50%. Rural resources shortages require policy support such as government-funded hardware upgrades and regional software license sharing, which can learn from experiences of successful right culture media projects. Third, the curriculum culture practice model links skill training with aesthetic goals. For example, using VR to teach color theory through the Renaissance art, achieving 89% students' approval and effectively bridging the gap between technology and culture. Based on above research, we draw the key conclusions. First, digital media has dual impacts on art education. It enhances creative flexibility and immersive expression, but also bridges risk over reliance and foundational skill neglect, which can be by digital narrative theory. Second, art teachers face prominent challenges of technical proficiency gap and resource shortages, which are exacerbated by rural-urban disparities, reducing teacher efficiencies and meaningful interaction. Third, the curriculum culture practice model integrated with digital narrative theory and effectively address the limitation of the reform. Common responsibility, we propose 3 practical implications. First, provide satisfied teacher support, including skill-level training, a digital mentor system, and part-time IT ideas for art development. Second, promote equitable resources allocation, protect rural schools for hardware upgrades, promote low cost of AR tools, and share regional software license. Third, build a student curriculum, require digital software to document the proportion of original and tablet elements and cultural connections, and AR/VR license size integrated digital creation of the SIPs. Yes. It is necessary to acknowledge the limitations of the research. First, the survey samples are mainly from Chinese universities, which limits the generalizability of the results to international contexts. Second, the systematic literature review only included English studies, potentially missing valuable insights from the non-English regional research. For future research, we propose three directions. First, expand the sample scope to include international art schools to conduct cross-cultural comparisons from the impact of digital media reform. Second, track the long-term impact of digital narrative-based art courses on students' aesthetic literacy. As current research mainly focuses on short-term outcomes. Third, develop a standardized evaluation tool for digital art education to measure the technical, aesthetic, cultural balance in students' works and provide a more objective assessment framework. In summary, this research comprehensively explores the impact of digital media teaching reform on art education through a maximizer's approach, clarifies the dual role of digital media in identifies teachers' core challenges, and proposes effective reform strategies which have both theoretical and practical value. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to my supervisor, Professor. Thank you for your invaluable guidance throughout the research process. I also thank the participating universities for their support and all researchers, all my members, all my classmates whose works laid the foundation of this study. Now I'm ready to finish my presentation. Thank you very thanks for my teachers. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience.